Good evening, Wanda from Florida. Good evening, Tammy from Philly. Who else do I have on here? I want to thank you guys so much for being here for me because this is my first live and it's kind of exciting. And I also want to thank you for following my channel. And I want this to be a community where we all get together and we talk about our concerns and our excitement and our travel experience. So I guess I'm going to start off by saying, I know Tammy already knows, but I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to start off by saying what piqued my interest in living abroad. I didn't just all of a sudden wake up one day and decide I want to live in Mexico. What was happening with me as I started to get older, I started to get really tired, like really tired of working all the time. And the US was getting so expensive, especially the area that I was living in. I was living in Philadelphia, and it was getting so expensive, and I really did not know what to do. So hi Elaine. So what I did was, I started searching for areas in the United States that was, cost effective, something that maybe I could afford on my Social Security disability, which that's another story, and I'll tell you about that too. But so I was looking for areas. My family lives in Springfield, Missouri, and I've visited them several times, and it's lovely, and the cost of living is less expensive than Philadelphia. So that would have been a good choice. But that just wasn't the place for me. I didn't feel connected to that area. So I kept looking and I kept looking, and I really wanted to be somewhere where it was more us there, or at least have great communities of Black folks there. I wanted that. And so I kept looking. And then, I would go on YouTube and look at the best cities in the United States for Black folks to live comfortably. And from doing that, from, looking at the different cities, I ended up coming upon Stephanie Perry. And if you know anything about Stephanie Perry, you know that she talks about helping Black women get freedom and live a life of ease and leaving the country and living abroad and all that. And I was thinking, wow, and as I started to search more, then I ran into Rashida Dow, and then I ran into Picky Girl Travel, and then I met, then it was Cortez and Tia Nikki and Merida, and then I ran into, what was it, Michelle Wedderburn and San Miguel. It was like all these Black folks were living outside of the US and thriving. And I said, wow, I want to know about that. I want to experience that for myself, right? And so just from paying attention to all of them and studying them and looking at all their videos, I ended up finding out about a relocation tour in San Miguel de Allende, right? And that was back in 2022. And so what I went on and did, I scheduled that tour. It was in November of 2022. And I went to Casa Elm in San Miguel de Allende. And Michelle Wedderburn is the owner of that place. And I got to stay there a little over a week and experience San Miguel. And it was such an amazing experience. And it was so amazing meeting all these sisters that were living out there and loving it and thriving. And so I decided to go ahead and stay. I stayed at Casa Elm. Now, initially, I was supposed to stay in Mexico after the relocation tour, but I wasn't quite prepared. So I ended up going back home. And then lived my life in the United States, and I continued to do that until eventually I got another opportunity to move. And now I am back in San Miguel, and it is now, 2025? I got back here November 2024. So that's the beginning. That's how it started. You guys, anybody have any questions on here that's on the live? Can we do that? I can't like just keep talking. If you have questions, I would love to hear it. Anything. Let's see who else on here. I got Tammy, I got Wanda, I got Elaine. I have somebody else on here. I don't know who is. Who else is on here? If you can give me your name and where you're viewing from, that'd be great. Great, great. Okay, how does living abroad differ for you based on your age? Okay, that's a great question. Based on my age, so, in the United States, one of the things that I don't like about the United States, they don't seem to have a lot of respect for seniors. I actually feel nervous about growing old there um, because they seem to not have any patience, or, like it may take us a little more time to walk across the street. In the United States, you might get ran down. Here in Mexico, it's different. They're very respectful of the elders. And then also, if you need assisted living or assisted care or anything like that, it's much more cost effective to do that here as opposed to doing that in the States. If you're on Medicare, actually in Mexico, for some services, Mexico will accept your Medicare. If you don't have insurance here, it's so the price is so affordable that you can actually take care of yourself and you can actually pay for it out of pocket. Medicines. I can actually go to a drugstore and tell them what kind of medication I take and the milligrams, and they'll have it behind their counter. I picked up a medicine for my high blood pressure the other day, and the price of it was like equivalent to like $1.72, and it was a 30-day supply. So I mean, there's definitely some benefits to being here an older person. There's some services available. Did I answer your question, Elaine? Anything else you wanted to know? And Wanda, I see you're asking, is it expensive to live there? Um, it's less expensive to live here than it is to live in the States. And this is not bashing the States. This is not what this is about. It's just, I want to tell you that there's another way. For here, my rent here, and I have a nice apartment. I have a one-bedroom apartment with a working fireplace, and the third floor has a terrace, and the location is very comfortable. All my utilities included. My rent is 6,500 pesos, which is equivalent, depending on the exchange rate that day, is equivalent to 318 to 326 USD a month. Okay, so I don't pay more than $326 a month for a one-bedroom spacious apartment with a fireplace and a third floor terrace. That's reasonable, I think. My food, I pay about $35 a week in groceries, and that includes my six-pack of Modelo Negro. You know what I mean? So that's pretty inexpensive. It gets expensive when you're going out all the time. I ran into that trouble a lot. It seemed like every time I go out, I spend 50 pesos, no, 1,000 pesos, which is equivalent to $50. And I got to stop doing that. That's ridiculous. And then also I have issues with Uber Eats. I've really got to stop. And it doesn't even make sense for me to keep ordering Uber Eats because I don't even like their food as much as I like my own. But for the most part, yeah, it's inexpensive to live out here. It can get expensive. It depends on how you want to live. I try to live more like the locals. I try to shop more so where the locals shop. Like here, what is it? A 12-pack, a dozen of eggs cost like $1 and some change. So that is why a person could literally come here to Mexico and live off of $1,500 a month very easily. Thank you, Elaine. I love my place. I like my neighborhood. I really do. I was I was fortunate. I was fortunate to get this place. In fact, it's funny, back in November, I didn't know what I was going to do. November 2024. I didn't know where I was going to live, but I knew that I had to move. I knew that my physical health and my mental health um, needed to leave. And it didn't really even have anything to do with politics. It was just it was just too expensive for me. It was too toxic for me. I wanted good, healthy food that wasn't genetically modified. I wanted a life that was slower pace and I could just live. Um, so I knew I needed to go somewhere. So I was doing a lot of research. I was researching Panama, and that seemed interesting. I was considering going there. But a friend of mine, which is Elaine, who's on here now, I'm glad she's here supporting me. I met her back in 2022 when I went to San Miguel for the relocation tour. And she and I stayed in communication. And in November of 2025, she had told me that she was moving back to San Miguel. Now, meanwhile, I'm still up in the air, not knowing where I'm going to go, but I'm going to go somewhere. I knew it. This was it. I was going somewhere. And it was going to be like, the beginning of 2025, I was out. So I was talking to her, and she told me she was going back, and I was thinking, well, that's interesting that she's going back. And what piqued my interest about Mexico again is because they started a program. It's called the regularization program. I didn't want to go anywhere that I could not get residency. Um, Back in 2024, trying to get residency in Mexico was challenging because you had to show an income of more than $4,000 a month. And at that time, I wasn't able to show consistently $4,000 a month. So I was thinking I won't be able to get residency there. So I don't want to go there and fall in love with it. So that's why I was thinking Panama. When I talked to Elaine and she told me about that new program, the regularization program, where you can actually get a 4-year residency without showing any financials, that was a good thing. And if you want to know more detail about it, just ask me in the chats and I'll go into it further, or look at a video. I did do a video on not having to show income to get residency in Mexico. So that was the first thing that piqued my interest. That was the first thing that made me say, okay, maybe San Miguel is the right place for me. Okay. Then I went online on Facebook, and I went to all these San Miguel groups looking for rentals, right? And I was seeing some rentals, and I'm thinking, okay, they're at my price point. I could afford something that is about $650 a month USD. I could do that. It's going to be tight. I'll be living tight, but I could do $650 a month for a 1 bedroom. Okay, right? And I'm looking at all these different places, and I'm sending Elaine, pictures of all these different places, and seeing if I can get somebody to go see these places for me. And then Elaine said, "Well, I have a nice apartment." And I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, and I said, "And how much do you pay for rent?" And she said, $326. And I said to myself, she must be living in a shack. And then she sent me a video of her place. And I couldn't believe it. It blew my mind. I started coveting that place. I couldn't believe how nice it was for that price point. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, so we got a program now where I can actually become a citizen. I mean, get my residency, and I could possibly find a place like that at that price point. I'm going to San Miguel. Now I had an older car, and I had been debating on and off if I was going to sell it. After that conversation with her, I put my car on Craigslist, and at the end of the day, that car was sold. I paid for my ticket to San Miguel that same day. I had it all planned out then. That was it. I was going. And I was, and like, I don't know what, 2 weeks later, I was on the plane headed to Querétaro, and then eventually to San Miguel. That's how quickly that happened. And while I was going through all that, she was like, I have to talk to my landlord, see if my landlord has an extra apartment. Turns out their landlord did have an apartment available to me. It wasn't quite as, it didn't have the terrace like hers did, but mine had the patio. And she showed me a video of it, and I was like, oh my God. And I said, I have to take that. That was just, it was just, everything was just working out. It was just working out exactly how it was supposed to. And so here I am in this wonderful apartment paying $326,000. So that's how that happened. And I didn't come here with a whole lot of money saved up. People be like, did you come with money saved up? I didn't do that. I just actually just resumed living. I came here and just resumed living, instead of paying rent where I used to pay rent, I came here and paid rent. So it happened very quickly. I am blessed. I am grateful to Elaine for being there for me, for talking to her landlord and finding me a great place. And, if any of you that's listening, you decide you want to come out here, we will do the same. We'll talk to our landlord and help you find a great place. They're here. Everybody says that San Miguel is very expensive. And in some areas it can be, but you can still find something affordable. I'm a living proof of it, and so is Elaine. So, you guys have any other questions on here? Oh, let's see what's happening here. Are you in a quiet area? I love my solitude. Yes. You can kind of hear, you don't hear anything. It is very quiet. And one of the things about Mexico is that, everybody seems to have dogs. So you tend to hear a lot of barking. But something about the location that I am in, you can hear barking, but it's further out, so it's not quite as annoying. And as far as loud music, it's not like that. It's very respectful around here. And when, like the holidays, you may hear some firecrackers. Mexicans love their firecrackers. So if they have holidays, you will hear that going on. But even with that, they stop with the firecrackers at a reasonable hour. So it's very respectful. I have my solitude. So yeah, you would be good here, Wanda. Hi, Smooth Flight 333 Self Love. Thank you for coming aboard. Any questions, please put it in the comment. Okay, first, it's tourist visa. For how long can you stay? I am over 60 and inquiring for the future. Okay, so Wanda, there used to be a time when Mexico would give you, excuse me, guys, mouth is dry. There used to be a time when Mexico would give you automatic 6 months visa. It's not really like that anymore. It depends on the person at the time, the immigration at the time when you go through, or forget what they're called when you're getting off the plane and you meet with them first. This is the second time I've been to Mexico, and each time I asked for 6 months, and each time I got 6 months. Okay, so that's pretty much, if you get 6 months, you can get up to 6 months on the tourist visa. And depending on your situation, if you decide that you want to get temporary residency, or if you qualify to get temporary residency, when you come through, you may not want to do a whole entire 6 months, because you got to wait until that tourist visa expires before you can apply for your temporary residency. And maybe I need to back that up some, because that might be a little confusing. The program is the regularization. It's called regularization. And the stipulations is between 2015 to 2022, you would have had to visit Mexico. 2015 to December 31st, 2022, you would have had to visit Mexico and got a stamp on your passport showing that you had visited. They did extend it now to 2023, December 31st, 2023. And you have to have a stamp saying that you visited Mexico, right? And then when your tourist visa expires, that's when you can start going for your residency while you're in Mexico. So that's what I'm saying. You may not want to wait 6 months because you might want to get it right away. And I say that because of all the kind of craziness that's going on in the States. I'm not comfortable with waiting to get my residency. For me, my tourist visa expires in May. And I purposely chose 6 months because I was thinking in terms of having to save up money to be able to pay for this. While I may not have said that before, there is a fee, right? They charge an app fee, a penalty fee, a residency fee, an attorney fee, and depending on where you're coming into Mexico will determine how much more expensive it is. I know in San Miguel, it could cost me up to $1,700 to get this done. But it's worth every cent because then I'll be a 4-year resident, okay? So I took the 6-month visa because I thought that it would take me 6 months to save up the money. I now have the money because, I'm also a realtor in the States, so when I refer real estate to agents and they sell it, I get paid. So I just happened to get a commission check that I wasn't expecting, and that was pleasant. And so now I'm thinking, okay, now I have money and what's going on in the States, I want to get this done and over with. So what I might do is leave out of Mexico for a week and then come back in and ask for like a 1-week visa so that I can let that expire and go forward with my residency. So I hope that answered all that. Any other questions on this, guys? Well, I wanted to talk to you about what's happening with Social Security. If you are retired and you're on Social Security and you decide to live abroad, it really depends on how you handle your mailing and your banking, okay? So some people think that the reason people who live abroad Social Security got suspended was because of the current political climate, but I don't really think that's the case because this happened last year also. Like this happens like every year and everybody's surprised. The IRS claimed that for people who live abroad and they have that address that they have that foreign address, they claim that they mail out a form called the SSA 7162. It's also known as a foreign enforcement questionnaire. It's a questionnaire of, they want to prove that you're still alive. And they claim they send that out every year to expats living, in another country. But what's happening is these folks aren't getting these letters. So because they didn't respond to that letter, Social Security suspended, the administration suspended their benefits. That's what happened. And now what they have to do is fill out that form and go through some hoops, and eventually they'll start getting their money. For me, the reason that didn't happen to me is because I keep a U.S. address and I also keep a U.S. bank, but my U.S. bank is an online bank. I use Capital One, and I strategically chose Capital One because it does well in other countries as far as fees and things like that. People who want to be forthright just come out and tell the government what they're doing are the ones that got punished. So that's craziness. I know that I'm going to have to figure something out for my future because there may come a time when I will need a foreign bank There are reasons why people choose a foreign bank, and I'm going to do a video about all the reasons why these folks did have foreign addresses and why they did have foreign banks, because there are some benefits to that. It's just that they'll have to be proactive and make sure that they reach out to Social Security Administration annually to provide proof of life, and then that way their benefits shouldn't be um, suspended. But I also am a strong believer that while we are on Social Security, while we are retired or semi-retired, I think that you should always find another way to earn money. It's really important because with them talking about Social Security all the time and talking about decreasing it and taking it away and running out of money, I don't want to find myself in a position where I am out here and I don't have any more money coming in and I can't afford to pay, take care of myself. And I certainly wouldn't want to be in the U.S. when that happened. That's too expensive. So I'm a big proponent in always working on your skills, no matter how old you get. Really learn technology and AI and find ways to continue to earn money doing something that you enjoy, that you can do anywhere in the world. I'm so intense and I'm so determined to put myself in that position that I'm always looking for the right opportunity for me to work while abroad. And while I'm looking for those opportunities for me, I'm sharing it with you too. So that's a lot of things that I am doing in my videos. It's what I am going through. It's my experiences. And then I turn around and I share it with you so that you'll be prepared. Okay, I see you guys are talking. Let me see what else we need to talk about. Let me see another point. I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover in this live. If you have any questions, please, let me know. Let me know, and I'll try my best to answer anything. How easy has it been for you to build a community? Oh, wow. It's been very easy. And I want everybody to know this, that no matter what country you decide to move to, there are plenty of communities that have us there, right? The best way to find those communities are in Facebook groups. So like if you want to be in Panama, you want to look for the Black Facebook group, or I don't know the races of everybody on here, but everywhere that you go, there is a group. So for me, because I do go on the Facebook group, but I also went on a relocation tour back in 2022. So I had already met people already. And then I got on the Facebook group, which is Black San Miguel, or Black SMA, San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. I got on that group, and from there I met more people. And so they're always posting events and things that are going on, and I just go. I make sure I get there and I meet people, and I connect. So it's very easy. It's very easy to find your community here. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for being here on my first live. This has been interesting. I'll do this again. Hopefully, maybe I'll prepare everybody in advance so that you have a list of questions. Remember what you want to talk about. But I'm so glad that you're here. And I'll keep the videos going. I have a few videos coming out. It's going to be informational, so I'll keep those going. And any questions that you have, if you want to come to Mexico, you want to come to San Miguel, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will give you all the information and all the resources I possibly can to help you. So, yeah, if there's nothing else, let's see if there's anything else. Question about wait. How easy? Okay, wait, there's a few more questions. Hold on, let me see. How easy has it been? Okay, I got that. How easy is it to get around without a car? Okay. Okay. So, how easy is it to get around without a car? Very easy. You can actually take public transportation, like from where I live, public transportation is less than half a block away, right? And it cost, was it 18 pesos, which is equivalent to 40 cents. And they take you everywhere, to the mall, to the supermarket, downtown, the central, wherever you want to go. For those who don't want to take public transportation, you can also do Ubers. The Ubers are magnificent. It's so inexpensive. I don't think I've ever paid more than $6 to get somewhere. It's amazing how cost effective it is. And the Uber drivers are great. I feel safe with them. They're very kind. So yeah, transportation is amazing. Very easy to get around. Oh, it's 8 pesos. Thank you, Elaine. It's 8 pesos, which is equivalent to 40 cents USD. Wanda, thank you so much for that. All right, guys. Well, thank you for being here, and have a wonderful evening. See ya.